Hey guys, welcome to Tamiya Legends. This is a part one of my next build, and the build is going to be the Grasshopper. Now this is definitely one of my favourite Tamiya cars, and I know I say that about every Tamiya car, but this, the Grasshopper, holds a very special place in my heart, and the reason behind that is it's the first time I came across Tamiya. Very long story short, I remember my friend had just come back from Florida and I'd gone down to visit him. I'll have been probably about 10 years old, maybe 9, and he lived on this little cul-de-sac, and he just had this radio control car flying around, and I was just like in awe, because back then they weren't radio control cars, they were remote control cars. Do you remember them with the wire lead from the little plastic transmitter to the car, and you had to sort of run around after the car? That's kind of the level we were at back then. So all of a sudden he had this car which looked amazingly quick, and it went where he wanted it to go, and he didn't have to chase after it. He could stand in one place and make this car do everything. So it was awesome. And I think not long after that, he actually smashed it into a curb, and obviously the front of the Grasshopper chassis is not the strongest. And my dad was an old school model maker, and he asked if I could ask my dad if he could fix it, because obviously back then Tamiya wasn't sort of stocked in the UK, or not much anyway. And yeah, I remember the Grasshopper was up in my dad's loft. And it had all this epoxy resin like moulded around the front, trying to glue this Grasshopper chassis and make it stronger, and I don't think it worked. He spent about a week on it, but nevertheless I just remember going up every night and just staring at this car, just thinking this is amazing. So sorry for that boring bit, but I'm just trying to explain why I've got so much love for this car. So this is, again, same format. It's going to be well, certainly 2 videos, possibly 3 videos, right through to running it at the end and trying to do some action footage. So let's have a look at the kit. There's something so cool about a Tamiya box. The artwork, the shape, size of it. It's crazy, I know, but it's so iconic from back in the day that I absolutely love it. And there's nothing else out there that I can think of. Kyosho are in second place, but their artwork's not as good as that, in my opinion. You know, there's so much anticipation to opening a Tamiya box up. It's just so cool. So obviously this is the Grasshopper, not the original. But to me, again, it really doesn't matter, because it's so close to the original in almost everything. So, and obviously the parts are ready available now, so if you do smash it into a curb like my mate did, you know, it's quite easy and cheap to repair. So as always, when you open a Tamiya box up, everything's packed away very nicely and compact, and it all looks really cool. Obviously this is probably a basic kit as you can get from Tamiya. Very, very sort of low budget 2-wheel drive buggy. So there's not a great deal of parts, but I'm guessing if you've never built anything like this before, then it is a little bit overwhelming. So let's just go through what we've got. So obviously we've got cool wheels and the tyres. I love these paddle style tyres, they're awesome. Just on that, when we get on the build, when we get to that, I'll show you a tip how to get the inners on these tyres, because they can be a bit of a pig, and there's a very easy way of doing it. Front suspension parts and servo parts. I love this, obviously because it's an early one. It's got the hard shell and not polycarbonate, and you've got the chassis underneath. So very, very easy to do the body. You don't even actually have to paint it if you don't want, although I'm going to. I just love this car. I love everything about it. I really do. Sorry if I'm going on, but I do. What else we got? Battery cover, and driver. Again, when I get to the driver bit, I'll show you a very easy way on how I do my drivers, because I'm certainly not what you would call a good painter, but I've got a really quick method of doing that. And gearboxes, gearbox casings, and a few other bits on there, and that's it. That's your plastics. You know, as I say, there's nothing to it. And then obviously we have the box. Now, with it being a Riri, we have the electronic speed controller, which they've now changed to the TBLE or 2S, which is, I guess, a better model. But we're not going to be using that. I'll explain later. And then we've got nylon gears, screw bags. As I say, there is really nothing to this kit. We've got the original, how is this called? The original 380 motor that it came with, and it's got the moulded pinion on it, or welded, maybe not moulded. And well, I'll come back to that. We've got the bush set, bumper, and some more suspension and gearing. And finally, rear drive shafts and some Tamiya tools, because you always get your little Tamiya wrench and your Allen keys. And then two things left. The decals, which are cool. Again, going to be doing something slightly different with the decals on this car, which I'll explain later down the line. And finally, the Grasshopper manual. Oh, Tamiya manuals are just so cool, aren't they? Look at that RS380. Like a selling point, as if it's got power. But you know, the artwork is, I was going to say it's the same from original, but it's not, because obviously, as I stated in the beginning, the changes from the original to the Riri, so it has got a couple of decal changes. Sorry, I'll just move that because that's going to be quite annoying in the video. Again, the Tamiya, you know, the instructions are just as cool as the boxes. You know, it's all sort of the normal style Tamiya artwork. You know, again, just going back, if you've never built one of these, you know, this is such an exciting thing. I think if you're like me, I mean, I'm 45 now, and I've got a son, and you know, a lot of dads kind of, when the son's getting growing up, they might want him to play football or rugby or go fishing, you know, following a dad's footsteps. And for me, I wanted my son to build a Tamiya Grasshopper, and he did. You know, unfortunately, he hasn't stuck with it. It wasn't his thing. But nevertheless, we had that father and son couple of days when we built it together, and it was absolutely awesome, which is a memory I'll always have. As you can see, the instructions are very basic. I tell you, the thing is, they are very basic to someone who has built a lot of Tamiyas. But if you've never built one before, you have to be really careful and follow each section correctly, and also, you know, make sure you're using the right parts, because I would consider myself a little bit of an expert builder, and I still make mistakes because I take things for granted. Look at the cool shocks on it. I don't even know if you call them shocks. They're just two sticks that help it bounce around. So anyway, yeah, very cool. So I just want to go through the little bits of differences I'm going to be doing, which I think is pretty cool. So as I said, we had the the electronic speed controller, which we're not going to use, and that's because, as I said, I want my videos now to be as old school as I can get, which is all about taking them back to how they were. So as I said, we're not going to be using that, and we're going to be using the old 3-step speed controller with a resistor, which means we need an extra servo. Yeah, that's right, 2 servos in a car. Can you believe that? All these modern people with the modern RC cars would have no idea that old RC cars actually had 2 servos. So anyway, we're going to be fitting it with that, which is pretty cool. And as I say, we're going to be putting the original 380 motor straight in it, because I want to see what it's like. You know, I'm quite excited about it. I know it's going to be slow, but I want to sort of shoot it, you know, with just a box standard 7.2 battery, the 380 motor, and just do a minute or so and just see how it goes. On that, what else I've done, I've got a nice shiny 540 motor, so obviously that's the upgrade for it. And I also had to buy a Tamiya 18 tooth pinion for the 540 motor. $10.50 for 2 Tamiya pinions. Oh my word. Anyway, so that's the upgrade I'll do after, and obviously when I'm doing the action footage I'll be using a 540 motor. And the final, no not final, second from final I should say. So obviously you get your nylon bushes in this kit, and what I've done is, and what I would suggest to anyone building Tamiya, I've got the ball race kit for it. I don't know why you would not fully ball race something that comes with nylon. There's just, it's all benefits and no negatives. The only negative you could throw at it is a little bit of cost. Literally in the UK, that's about 10 or 12 pounds worth of bearings. But you know, you get so much from bearings, and your car's just going to last forever basically when you change them, and especially a car like this, because I think it tends to make a hell of a difference with a little buggy like this. And finally, as I said, the decals, I'll do it that way. Off the top of my head, the decals that changed, obviously this one, the spotlight ones here, and there's others, and I just can't remember because I'd have to double check. But basically, this is obviously Riri decals. What I do is, as I mentioned in other videos, I get my reproduction decals from MCI Racing, and I have got, if you order a sheet of Grasshopper, they're obviously copied off the originals, which is awesome. So you get your little Weber decals, you get your proper spotlight ones, and I can't remember what it is, but I think this is a Weber, it should say. So when the car's finished, it will absolutely look like the original one does. And I've done this on a few cars, and I think it's pretty cool. What I would say is, I don't do that to sell them and pretend that they're original, not at all. It's just for me, because I think they do look pretty cool with the original decals on them. So anyway, as I say, I'm rattling on now, so we'll get it all organised and we will start the build.